Mm.
Hmm.
What's up, Jose? Welcome, welcome, everybody. Okay, we're back, guys. Sorry about that. Literally, as I started the meeting, my power went out for like a minute. So let's do this all over again. Let's get everything set up. If you guys want to start adding um tickers that we want to look at, obviously we're going to go over the big names that are going to be um all the big names that we're going to go through ERs. So like Tesla, Google, Microsoft, and Tesla, Google, Microsoft. I think there was one more that I'm going to be missing, but that we'll go through. So give it one more second. I know no one really was told about class today, so all right. Is there any particular tickers, guys? Can you guys hear me? I just want to make sure you guys can hear me. Anyone? QQQ? Okay. Yes, perfect. Cool. Husky. Thank you. Anything else outside of Tesla, Google, Microsoft? Oh, and Meta. Meta is the other one that we're gonna discuss and we're gonna go over because they're gonna be doing earnings as well next week. It's gonna be a crazy week. Obviously, we have the news that's kind of been going on around war or potential war, conflict, however you want to call it. Unfortunately, it's very sad. So I think we should just preface that no matter how good your chart is, no matter how good indicators are looking, no matter how good everything's looking, Fed can come and speak. US can declare war on someone. Someone could declare war on the US. Another thing gets outbreak. We are susceptible to what's kind of going on in the world, and understand like just be careful when you guys are trading at the end of the day, because again, it doesn't matter how great your chart is. If news comes out, like it can really just screw us over 100%, right? So anyways, let's get going. I'll do QQQ, and then I think we can break down into the big four after that. I think that's a good segue just because QQQ is obviously very correlated with what Google, Meta, Tesla, and all of those are doing. So yeah, let's start there. Awesome, guys. And if have you guys read Tilio's newsletter? I think it actually broke down a great example of kind of what's going on. Tech alone has just been having a very, very hard sell-off lately. And I've been speaking to Tilio pretty frequently these past couple of days. And he personally believes that we might just be in we've been overbought. Like there's no justification for us to be this high, besides some type of news or besides, the next big thing I think he mentioned was PCE. So let's see, 414. So we held there, but we do have that gap, right? So we have a gap from 414 to 413. And then even after that, like that's going to be our last defense before we go back down to probably potentially 400s. Let's take a look. Probably right here. No, right there. Just psychologically, 400 is going to be a very, very strong hold once we get down there, Husky. It's just going to be an area of concern. But this is really like if we break this, this is where we can potentially go. Obviously, you have like 410, you have other psychological numbers in between, but those are like the big ones that I see from a long-term perspective. Because even at 410, yeah, there's something there, but or maybe even, yeah, right. That's 409. Where does 410 put us at? See, like 410 isn't even that strong. I would even like the 409 better just because you get these multiple touches on these bodies and it's been previously used as support. So that's going to get touched first before we even consider coming down to like the 405s, maybe even 403s. But in the meantime, obviously news has just been kicking our ass, but the whole sector as a whole, just tech in general, has been in a complete downtrend. And I think we're gonna stay that way for a while until again, until there's a reason to move forward, or the other thing as like war or conflict chills out, which I don't know when that's gonna happen. I mean, but QQQ has been on a rip for a very, very long time, right? In the grand scheme of things, we're not bad. Like, right? Like people are pretty crazy. Like, oh, we went from 447 all the way down to 414. But it's like it's in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't that bad. We did break that daily. What about on the weekly? Let's take a look at this. Yeah, see, I think even then on the weekly, it broke that uptrend. I'll drop for you guys so you guys can see it. So we broke this. Obviously, we're headed back down. So those are going to be crucial. I assume the 200 is going to start making its way up as we get closer. But these are levels that I'm going to be paying attention to on the short term. Husky, is this making sense, by the way? But if you look at this, this is the beauty of trends. This is obviously the daily, but look how it's been respected on the 5 minute. Obviously, it didn't touch 100% down here, but if you look on the 5 minute and we break down, it's respecting that 413 level pretty well, and it managed to close above 413 up in the 414 levels. So as long as we retain this, we might have a chance to continue back up. If not, I would just be careful. What was your plan with it, Husky? Are you trying to buy calls? Or are you like just curious overall? I'm gonna while you answer me that, guys, I am gonna open this up really quickly just because I think I'm gonna have this up. I'm gonna reference it back and forth. But look at this. This is over the past week. If you look at tech, it's minus 7.2% down on the week versus like utilities and everything else. Market as a whole overall has been pretty red, but tech has just been getting railed hard, right? So yeah, if you're gonna look into puts, look on a break below these. That's what I would do. Uh, Yeah, just because like probably a break of 413, like that 413 level, or if a break out of the downtrends, and then because I mean, even if you wanted to push the trend line a little bit closer, you in theory you could. But I like capturing a little bit more like right here, and then maybe write it down all the way to 409, 410 levels where I would be careful, or depending on how quick of a move you want to look. But overall market's just going down. But this is, I don't want to call it a bottom, but it's pretty much down there. But we've been having a ton of selling volume coming in as well. 75 million, 46 million, 56. Yeah, see, like 75 million in one day versus average, nowhere near that, right? It's just very, very concerning. So you might have a good shot at getting those puts in. All right. That's QQQ. Of course. I think what if we look at SPY, it's gonna be the same thing, right? Yep. And again, like if you guys have done any of the ETF lectures with me, or if you've done ETF lectures with anyone else, you understand like what's inside of these ETFs and why they move the way they do. Even though SPY does have like a good variety of different stocks that are within it, a lot of it is heavily based within tech, and which is why SPY has been getting railed as well, even on the tech sector. 500 is obviously a level we're going to want to reclaim. It's been a while since we've been back up. No, it hasn't been a while. Where are we? Patience. When's the last time we were 5? So just 5 psychologically is going to be a level that we're going to have to pay attention to no matter what. 499, 501, probably even there. I like that right there. That's going to be a level that we're going to want to reclaim if we're even looking to consider to come back up. The reason I say that is if you noticed, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's been used 5 times as a support, whether to push up or break down below for it just to touch that 489 level and then pop back up, right? So this is what we're going to have to pay attention to as we're coming back down. It's like if we break that 490 level, 489 level, and again, news can definitely bring us down there. It's healthy to have these little pullbacks. I know people get concerned. Obviously, it does hurt, but in the long scheme of things, again, if you look at things long term, it's still not that bad of a pullback, right? So yeah, I think we'll be fine. I care more about the peace and people's lives than the stock market. Anyways, let's get into. But by the way, besides Google, Meta, Tesla, is there anything you guys want me to chart? Throw it down, please, as I prepare for them. Google is going to be reporting. Let's see. So they're reporting on the 25th of April, and they're estimating 78 billion, estimate 1.51 EPS. If you actually go into, this is Telios, right? He does talk about Google in itself. One of the things he's really concerned with is just Google Cloud and their numbers with Google Cloud. As they continue recovery from the big miss 2 quarters ago, Google Cloud should overshadow that we see continued recovery from last quarter, right? So he wants to see that. And he also feels that it is one of the most inexpensive, and I agree with him as well. It's definitely a lagger. Obviously, Google has done a couple splits, so don't compare it 100%, right? But from a big perspective, we're looking like the Amazons, if we're looking at these other ones, I truly do believe Google is underrated, especially when it was in that 130 range. I really regret not picking it up right here. That was one of the moves that I missed. So right now we seem to be holding pretty strongly this 154 level. And this is obviously on the daily. Take a look at this though. This is starting to form right here. So let's do this. Again, this is always how I trade. Everyone trades differently. So if this doesn't suit your needs, then I'm sorry. But we're hitting this trend line up here, obviously from a daily perspective, but we have really good support. So I'm always just a big proponent of trying to buy things at support. Obviously, we're getting sell-off in tech. We'll see how things open up tomorrow. But this is one of those ones where you can probably have a low risk, high reward, where if it's touching the support, buy support and then just ride it up to the daily trend line, right? Do you see that? How like on the 5-minute, it's hugging that and then it rejects, comes down, but it reclaims support. People ask like, okay, how do I, like if you're scalping, if you're doing shorter trades, everyone's doing a little different. It's like some people get stopped out, right? From like maybe a drop from 153.44 to 152. It's almost $1 drop. You're like, should I have closed? Should I have held? Depending on the time of your contracts, depending on that and your risk tolerance. I've just been learning like wait till that close. Some people wait for a 4-hour close, some people wait for an hour close, some people wait for a 30-minute close. And why I say that is because it recovered and then gave profits, right? So let's say you entered right here and it broke down, and I wouldn't have entered. That just didn't look right. We got an increase in volume and sell volume, looked like it was going to break down. And then we're getting this buyers back up, and then boom, you're still in the green, right? So potentials to buy calls, but at the same time, again, just be very, very cautious with news, with everything else. But I'm really liking Google where it's at. Obviously, it might be a little bit expensive because we are heading into ER. So keep that in mind as we move forward with this. We can even look at this on the 15. Yeah. If this doesn't hold, we're dropping back down to that 150 level, which would suck, but it is what it is. It's just a quick, low risk. Yeah, we might head back down here. That was previously a resistance. That 150 level was a strong resistance, but then got used as support. You notice? So that's Google. All right, we have AMD, NVIDIA. Okay, we'll do those. Let's take a look at Microsoft. Now, if we go to Microsoft, and we'll go look at what Tilio has to say about Microsoft as well. So Microsoft reports Tuesday after the bell, right? So this is after. Um, he personally feels that the PC has been bottom out and the recovery is slower. So he's a little bit unsure. Ultimately, where Microsoft has been making a lot of their money is Azure cloud growth and AI, right? Obviously, a lot of these big tech companies are just using buzzwords of AI. And we're going to talk about that with Meta as well in a second. But yeah, so they're reporting Tuesday. Let's take a look. I haven't charted Microsoft. I traded this with Toasty a while ago, and we took a pretty big loss on this, so I haven't looked at it since. All right, so we are at a 397 level. I like this too, just because those 3 bars in the past have used it. But I do like that other level as well down here. So it's around that range, right? You kind of have 2 layers of resistance wise. I'm really liking this. You see, it's kind of been stuck in a channel for a while. Nothing crazy. You can even, I might even like that a little bit better. Like Google just goes up, down, up, down, up, down, breaks in the top channel, breaks back down. Again, like a lot of these stocks, because they've been pulling back, a lot of big time investors might start popping in. And these are just really low risk to reward. But again, news, um, none of this shit matters if tomorrow, again, more rockets get sent out, more missiles get sent out, right? This is irrelevant. This shit just, it will sell through this. Doesn't matter how strong the support is, we will sell through it. So just keep that in mind. Keep that stop loss pretty tight. Don't over leverage on contracts. It's just been risky. I've been trading less contracts lately as well. I've had more time on my contracts to be safe. I don't like this. From a short-term perspective, this doesn't look good. From a short-term perspective, we need to get out of this on Microsoft. So this is how I would play this, and maybe we can check this out tomorrow. Obviously, we're seeing support here. This is 5-minute. And if we break above this trend line that clearly has been affecting us, because look, I could draw one here, make it better, but from a short-term perspective, look how it lines up perfectly. It's not 100% perfect. Obviously, you're changing a lot of time frames. Oop. But I've been really liking these breakouts on trend lines. So what I like to play is a breakout, a retest, and then a retest and then confirmation that, hey, this is, you know, we're going above this. Buyers are stepping in. Are we getting buyer volume stepping in? Are sellers losing? Those are things that I would pay attention to if I wanted to take a stab at this. Again, strict stop losses. Understands like, hey, a break below that support, I'm just not going to get in. It's just not worth it. That's what Microsoft's looking like for me, guys. Any questions on these, by the way? You guys can chime in. I'm all ears. I'd love to take your guys' perspective as well. It's not just what I say. So let's go to Tesla. Jump back to the daily. Tesla, I have friends who work at Tesla. I don't know what I'm legally allowed to say and what I'm not legally allowed to say. Um, yeah, I don't know what I'm allowed to say on what my friends have told me. Overall, and based on numbers that we see that Tesla has been reporting, their numbers just have not been doing well overall, right? Delivery numbers have been bad, production numbers have been bad, numbers that they've actually sold have been bad, right? So, and Tilly, I think Tilly does a fantastic job where he's like, if you think this is just a car company, then of course the stock price is too high. It's not worth the valuation. But if you see this as a tech company, then it could potentially be justified, right? He also doesn't know where they're going to go in the support. But ultimately, it's like if the numbers are not where investors think they're going to be, this thing is going to continue to die and die and die until they prove themselves. It seems that Elon continues to slash prices on his cars as well, and then recently just laid off 10% of the whole workforce for Tesla, right? Holy fuck, we broke 150. I did not know that. We haven't been down here since, yeah, since almost last year. This is insane. We really haven't been down here since 2023. Wow. Okay. I mean, it's hard to say, guys. It with Tesla, I'm I'm not bullish on Tesla. And I know a lot of people are not bullish on Tesla right now. It seems to be the most shorted stock, one of the most shorted stocks. And it's just so volatile, right? Because they could just pop back up so quickly. And that's the crazy thing about this. There was one more that I really saw right there. Those are some levels. God. Yeah, we're gonna see 145 for sure. There's like no doubt about that. We're gonna see 145, then 140. This is just gonna keep going down. I don't like I would just be careful. You can get quick bounces off of those levels. Even that 145 isn't like it's around here. But if we break 145, we're going down to 140, we're going down to 137. No if, buts, or whats. Like, there's just no signs of this potentially going up right now. None whatsoever. What? Yeah. I know people are scalping this and they're making money off of Tesla. That's probably what I would do. I wouldn't be swinging anything in this. I know some people grab shares, but even then, like, I think the state of Tesla as a company is up in the air. And I know a lot of people are big fans of Elon. I'll say it again. Like, I think Elon needs to go and someone needs to come in and take over the company just to get shit in order because I think he's overwhelmed with all the companies that he's running, and clearly he's putting more effort into other certain things than Tesla. I feel like Tesla got forgotten. It's just not really his priority. Yeah, it's ERs this week as well, guys. That's why I'm covering it as well, and we got one more to cover. Um, Tuesday as well. When does it report exactly? Is it before or after? After the bell as well. So Tesla reports after the bell. Microsoft reports after the bell. Meta reports on Wednesday, and I think Google reports on Wednesday, right? So just be careful with Tesla, guys. I feel like I always have to say that, but just be careful with it. Meta. We'll go back to what Tilio said about Meta. So he personally believes that Meta is still, on a long-term perspective, something good to be trading at based on its PE ratio. If you guys don't know about PE ratios, definitely something to take into consideration if you're going to be trading or investing into a long-term perspective as well. But he actually started a small position for Meta, which I don't think a lot of people can do this given your portfolio size, but just to keep that out there. One other thing I recently thought about with this whole thing going on with TikTok and potentially TikTok getting banned. I believe it just passed the House. Is it correct? They just passed the House and they're going to go into um, the Senate. That's something to consider. Obviously, TikTok, it's on Tuesday. TikTok is just the biggest competitor for Meta at the moment. And I think if TikTok does get banned, I don't think there's going to be like a huge flock of people coming into Meta or Instagram or etc. But if you think about it, Reels is probably the next best thing when it comes to, away from TikTok. So we'll see with that. And then he recently, I know they talked about AI, but like if you guys actually use Instagram, they added that new like AI feature in the search functions of it. That's really interesting. That's something I want to play around with and see what it does. I know Zuck talked about that a little bit more. So I'm curious how they're going to be pushing AI just a little bit more on their end from that perspective. But again, just like I'm not going to swear, every tech company, they're just getting railed as well. Right. So, and again, I think these are normal. I don't think these are like exaggerated pullbacks. I like when we get pullbacks because then it just allows me to buy these stocks at cheaper prices. So it's holding a steady level if you really think about it. And then I'll get to AMD and NVIDIA after this, guys. Thank you for being patient with me. Where are we going after this? We have something here? No. Actually, yeah, right there. We'll even use those as the extremes. Those extremes right there. It's touched twice on 11th, did it again. So I would, a break of that would be my risk. Oh, that's like a huge jump, right? Like a $5 move. But when you're dealing with a $400 stock, $5 is nothing. These stocks can move 453. Obviously, that was earnings, but like these stocks can move very, very fast. This moved $20 in one day, right? Just about. So you just got to be careful when you're trading these bigger names because there is just obviously more risk involved. But look, it bounced right off those trend lines. Right? So use those trend lines as your guys' support as well as that other bottom support. And that's your stop loss. That's where you cut a close below that on I don't know, maybe a 15, depending on what you're trying to do with this. Like that might be a quick good risk to reward because your risk very minimal. Well, $5 loss. But on the big perspective of things, you have a lot of room to go up. Right. So that's what I like about buying stuff at the bottoms. Flips does it. A lot of these guys do it. They like buying stocks at the bottom, and then you have a lot of potential to move back up. Mm, yeah, you can do 485. That could be one. And then maybe even 487 if you want to be a little bit more aggressive. So 487 and 485 are both levels that you can ride up to. So Yeah. All right. Those are the big four. Let's get to AMD and NVIDIA. Was there anything else besides those two? AMD and NVIDIA? God, these are getting wrecked too. Who was I just, we were discussing this with Tilio and the concept of like how long the AI hype or the chip hype was going to last because SMCI, ARM, NVIDIA, and AMD have all just as well gone to shit. I don't have levels down here because it's been a while since that 150, right? Was probably like the last, that was like the last line of defense. From there, we're already at 146. I would have called 145. Yee, what are you looking at for AMD? Is there something in particular? Yeah, see, look, we literally touched 145 to a fucking T. That's so cool. I love psychological numbers. Those are my favorite. What were you guys, are you guys in something right now? Did you guys swing anything? I wouldn't be swinging shit in this market right now. It's just, nah, I just wanted to ask about my levels. Yeah, AMD, AMD and NVIDIA, and I know Flips loves to trade these, and he says this all the time. They respect levels very, very well, and it's true. But they also respect like these psychological numbers, the 145s, the 150s. Um, so like if you start looking at the levels, like you're noticing these patterns around that, right? So like 150s, 145s, 140s, 137, 135, right? Like that's you're gonna notice that as you trade more and more, that those numbers are there for a reason. 139.50 per se. Because it's been a really, really long time since AMD's been down here. And I don't think we're let me extend this real quick. Oh, let me just do it manually. That 145 is going to be tough to crack, in my opinion. Right? That 145 level is just it's just a tough one. Psychological. We've been pulled down so bad this week. I don't know how much more we go, but that's just not a proper way to trade because news could drop again and we keep going down, right? So you swung 170s a few days ago and it dipped bad. Did you have like a stop loss set? Did you like, hey, just in case something happens? Because that happened with me too. I swung something and it got pulled back pretty badly, unfortunately. If you swung 170s a few days ago, yeah, man, you got crushed. Are you? Please don't tell me you're holding them still. I had 20. Yeah, in this market, it's just yeah, that's good, man. That's good. It's just we're at a trend line. We're at a strong trend line. We're at a strong support. Again, a lot of these are giving us opportunities to go long on them. 130. Let's see if we can break. If we break 145, we're going to 140. Like no doubt about it. It's it. If we break this, we're going straight down. Then obviously we still have that 130, right? Um, maybe we'll get 136 first. That's where the 200 is, right? So we might come down here. That's exactly what happened to Google. Look, I right here it bounced off the 200 moves. Obviously, the 200 is going to be moving, but right around here was the 200. I've always been a love, 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 love using the 200. So if we go back to AMD, 200 is coming up, right? So it it's gonna stop at the 200. It's gonna do a hard bounce off of it. It's either going to use it and we continue up, or it's going to break through and we keep going down. So we might get that 130 level, which would, God, that's all the way down here. Have we been down here in a while? No. That was resistance back in May of 23. Fucking A. Dude, I remember when the shit was like 75 bucks or like 50 bucks. Yeah. Exxon, yeah, I want to look at that too. We'll look at those. The CEO, and then I'm also going to look at Nvidia. Who asked for Nvidia? Nick. Or as Zabes likes to call it, Nishidia. I don't know how I feel about like chips run the world. Like if we're just being frankly honest with ourselves, like chips run the world, right? So are these companies worth what they say they are? I mean, I would have liked it here, but clearly that shit broke. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with myself and I'll put it here. Then we have that as well. I don't trade Nvidia. It's just it's too volatile for me. God, this is nasty. If we lose this, we have that giant ass gap. This is scary because we're almost there. Because Nvidia can move $30 in a day, easy. Just be careful with this right here. That gap. Nick, what were you looking for with Nvidia? Is there something in particular? If you're still there. No, you just wanted to look levels. Are you in anything or like were you planning to trade it or it's more of just like taking a look? Got it. Yeah, man. I mean, just like all of them, right? They all they're dying. Yeah. NCM. Look, this is dying. This is dying. Um, what other one is dying? I mean, any chip right now, they're just dying. SMCI obviously has its reasons. I think even Tilio talks about that. Uh, he talks about MCI somewhere in this. I don't want to blind you guys. This is really bright. Uh, well, whatever. He talks about it. Go read it. It's really good. There it is. SMCI minus 23%. It's right under financials. Let me find it for you guys. Financials. Oh, these are the charts, and then it's there. That's gold. There it is. He mentioned that they've always pre-announced their earnings, and this is the first time they did not pre-announce their earnings. So investors have a feeling that it's going to be negative for the first time. But it's a what if, right? It's just fear selling. But can you imagine losing 23% in one day? It filled. Yeah, I mean, we always joke around that all gaps eventually get filled. It happens a lot, man. You'd be surprised how many gaps get filled. Um, my own company stock, right? Or not my own, but the company I work for, they had amazing earnings, amazing gap. Probably going to get all the way filled or get pretty damn close, right? We were all the way up at 114. So from 102 to 88, we're back down to 92. So like, yeah, gaps get filled, dude. It's insane. Shit happens. Markets pull back. We gotta adapt. Let's look at Exxon. I'll do like one or two more. My eyes are starting to hurt. This motherfucker has been ripping. Um, and obviously, war and oil are always going to go hand in hand, unfortunately. Always. So I don't think this is going off of technicals. This isn't going off of anything. This is literally just going off of news. Remember on Twitter or when what was it? On Thursday night when supposedly Iran attacked Israel, which we still don't know what's true or not, which is the insane part. Oil went up 3% off of that news, right? So that's what's been happening. We do have earnings at the end of the week. I think they're going to be fine. I think they're doing just fine. I don't think oil's, I think oil's just going to keep ripping. Let's look at Oxy. Oxy isn't doing as well. Why? It's back in that range. Huh. Not sure why Exxon is ripping compared to, but even then, if you look at it, it's also in that range again, like from 102 to 119. And it, I don't think it's, yeah, I don't think it's been this high in a while. So, yeah, of course, man. It just be, again, war. War has been causing a lot of these stocks to fluctuate pretty crazy with no technicals involved, just zero, none. Or again, if you have a technical that you think it's like, hey, this makes sense, and then news drops, and then you're like, oh, never mind. So that's what happened with me at KO. I was in KO longs. I longed it. I'll be able to explain it better on the fifth on the five. Money's always made in war. In fact, people like war because there's money to be made. For the average human, we don't make money. We lose money. People die. They're suffering. It affects us a lot more. Big corporations, these giant companies that, war industry companies, they're the ones making money. I entered here and ended up writing it down all the way to 58. The reason why I felt comfortable holding is because from a daily perspective, I knew 58. Um, 58 has been used as a support in the past. So that's why I felt comfortable swinging. I held. I actually I held all the way. I averaged here. I averaged when we broke out. Again, going back to like the way I trade, I averaged when I saw buyers stepping in and then we broke out of the downtrend. I love buying stuff here or buying when do that test. Wrote it up and then wrote it up again. I was dumb though. I didn't put like a trailing stop. I should have because this thing ended up ripping all the way to 60 and giving almost 100% a contract, unfortunately. I made 20%. So yeah. Any last minute guys? We still have like 15 minutes, but if there's anything else you guys want to look at, I pretty much looked at all the big ones. Anything else? Anything else? Last minute calls. Tesla. We talked about Tesla already. Yeah, we talked about Tesla. I think Tesla's going to keep dying if we don't bounce here. We're gonna die. We're gonna keep dying. You're good. You're good. You don't worry. They're just not doing good. Their numbers are bad. Let's stop bullshitting ourselves. When's the last like Elon doesn't even fucking talk about this shit anymore. Like I feel like he doesn't care about Tesla. You know, Amazon. I haven't. That will be a last one. I think that's a good one. Victor. Didn't they just reach all-time highs? Yeah, they reached all-time highs. I think Toasty did a good. Funny enough. Oh, he didn't post it yet. Or maybe he did. It's just not. Let me refresh. No, it hasn't. But he posted something on Amazon. Yeah, Amazon remains in an uptrend, but is certainly under pressure. But let's see when this date was. This was on the 19th. Um, Today it's holding up nicely. Daily volume shelf around 174, 177s. But again, like even if let's zoom in on this. So he has all-time highs at 188, weekly pivot at 184, buy button here, volume shelf here. So these are Toasty's levels. I know he was looking at that as well. And let's see what we can make. It's literally the same levels that I have. Yeah, around the 174, 175. And there's one more. Oh boy, got a gap right here from 170. Oh, not a crazy gap. We're gonna if we don't hold this 174 as Toasty mentioned, which is a good area to kind of there's even this. One 174, 173. That's even nicer. Long here with confirmation, 170, 173.47 as your stop or a close below. That's money. I mean, if you want to go super extreme, you wait till down here. But I don't know if I would. Yeah, because we were in uptrend for a really, really long time. Everything just broke out of the uptrend. Everything was just going up. Alrighty, guys. Give you guys 10-minute back, unless there's like one last minute ask. No. Alrighty, team. Get some rest. We got a long day. We got a long week ahead of us. And I'm excited to see what the markets bring. So thank you guys. Catch you later.